Welcome to the Dear Lacrosse Pod. This is episode 8, and it's a solo episode this time. We did have a hater, I would say, because I didn't actually bring on a guest interview yet. I just had some friends on that hype womans, But I do have a guest lined up. He is very successful in the lacrosse world. Good friend of mine, and strong opinions, and is very vocal and stands by what he believes in. So I'm excited to have him on. Hopefully that's next episode. Probably. Setting up a date, but at least within the next 2 to 3. So today, choice of podcast is actually one of my best friend's art rooms. Low-key, fun fact, I'm an art dealer. I know, jack of many trades. But this is some of her artwork. This is her latest piece. And I think it's actually pretty freaking cool. So, if you're interested in art, I'll put her info in the bottom in the description. AK abstracts, a lot of abstract art. I'll put a bunch of pictures, but stuff's super cool. She's been doing well. Yeah, this is where we're at today. I tried to change up my scenery, and this is just how we're going. I do want to go over the predictions coming up in the games in week 1. Obviously, I have my gamble picks, but I just want to show you this art real quick because it's cool. If you want to support the podcast, obviously buy some art. That helps me. But you can also buy some gear. Shop on the website. Put the link below. That really keeps the podcast going. Predictions. Week 1 of lacrosse has started. Well, we had week 0. Now it's week 1. Lacrosse games this weekend. We have a couple matchups that are ranked opponent matchups, and I want to kind of gamble on my Final Four predictions. Reminder, my Final Four was BC, Northwestern, UF, and Maryland. Maryland, we like Maryland. We like their product. John Hopkins, number 11, is playing UF, which is ranked number 5. My bet is obviously on UF. I'm going to keep them on the high horse right now. I know they are my gamble pick in the Final Four, but with this matchup, just based on their recruiting class, I like their coaching staff. I think the coaching tree in Syracuse is crazy because they can't win a ring, but their coaching tree is absolutely ridiculous. And they have Nicole Levy on the staff at UF. So I do think their attack is very lethal. Not saying Johns Hopkins is not. I just think UF is better. So my money is on UF. Next big game is Boston College versus Loyola. Boston College is obviously ranked number 1 in the polls, where Loyola is 10. So good top 10 matchup. Loyola's had a really good product in the past. I think a lot of great pros have came out of that program. Not so much, I would say, very recently. I wouldn't say they're in, my top 5 pick, but they're always in conversation of good Maryland lacrosse. Unfortunately, my money is going on, or I guess fortunately, but my money is going on Boston College, number 1 team ranked, lethal defense, lethal girl in cage, lethal offense, and I love how they transition the ball, so my money's on them. Next top 4 game would be North Carolina versus James Madison. North Carolina's ranked number 6 right now, so I'm sure that's kind of pissing them off. They're used to being in that top 4 spot, top 3 spot. JMU is ranked 16. I would say they're usually ranked around there. They're a good top 20 team, sometimes in the top 10, sometimes in the top 5, but usually in the teen range for majority of the season. Only because I'm not on the UNC train for absolutely so many reasons. I am putting my money on JMU, and I also think, because they do always play them early, this is a trap game. And what I mean by trap game is that for UNC can go in there, maybe not so much now, but in the past, UNC has gone into those games thinking they can just kind of roll over JMU. JMU absolutely has nothing to lose when they're going against UNC, especially coming off a championship in that caliber. So when I say trap game, If they lose, it's no big deal, but if they win, it is a very big deal, and UNC can't really come in assuming that they're just kind of hot shit. So, give or take. But my money will be on JMU, even though UNC is ranked higher, only because it is a trap game. I do like JMU's play. I think they're a pretty scrappy team. So, there we go. Northwestern versus Notre Dame. Northwestern number 2, Notre Dame number 13. My money's definitely on Northwestern just for many reasons. I know they had to funnel in some players that they lost graduating, but I do believe in their transfer. They were, I think, number 2 ranked for transfers for the transfer portal in the schools. So I'm excited to see what they do with their attack. And they just got Swicer in goal. Transfer had a stellar season last season, so she's riding off a really hot season. She's ring chasing, so I'm excited to see what they put together and the product they put together on the field. So those are my 4 picks for this weekend. Hopefully I'm above 500. And my gambles are true. Once again, if I'm right, you heard it here first, right here on the Dear Lacrosse Pod. So US Lacrosse put out a late rankings, which is crazy because they're the freaking governing body of our sport. So this is the preseason rankings for Canes Women's Lacrosse. You got BC number 1, Northwestern number 2, Michigan number 3, and Michigan actually has the number 1 defense right now. So that's interesting. They're usually not in my conversation, but I want to get on the Michigan train. I do. I just personally have not actually sat down and watched Michigan lacrosse and studied Michigan lacrosse. So I will do that this season. I'll do my part. I'll learn more about Michigan so I can hand them their flowers. But right now, I am not Team Michigan. So I'm reading just off the media that I'm getting from literally like Inside Lacrosse or IWLCA or US Lacrosse or NCAA Lacrosse, whatever we're doing. And I'm looking at the rankings right now for Inside Lacrosse. It says the Canes Women's Lacrosse Division 1 media poll. I'm not sure who is ranking these, but I just read based off my predictions for the games this weekend. North Carolina was number 6 there, and now it's saying North Carolina is number 4 here. So, and I can't really find the preseason rankings that we're used to having about a week or 2 before season starts so we can get the hype up of the sport. People start talking about it. Now we just have these preseason rankings. I'm trying to find more. I'll post more in the description when I find. But they definitely did not advertise preseason the way they advertise men's for women. Okay, so Inside Lacrosse is the only media that is basically ranking and tracking women's lacrosse right now, because no matter where you go, if you go on the NCAA or US Lacrosse, it's all directing you back to the Inside Lacrosse coaches poll. I do want to talk about the unit rankings: defensive unit, midfield units, attack units. I think these are the things that we need to start paying attention to, on which half of the field is really dominating and carrying each team. For the defensive units, we have Michigan as number 1, which is why I want to be on the Michigan train. Like, this is why, like, I see the stats, I see the movement. Their goalie, Aaron, is killing it, National Goalie of the Year. I get it. So they are the number 1 defensive unit that Inside Lacrosse is ranking. I'm assuming they're going to produce a lot of cause turnovers. Their depth continues. They have like a steady X defender. So, like, I love a good, aggressive, behind X defense. I think if we can stop the team from feeding or stop the person with ball, there's more forgiving pieces to a defensive unit when there is pressure on ball. I think when we leave people at X and people are fed and have their hands free at X, it's super easy to get those feeds in and thread the needle. There always needs to be pressure on ball. Just because they're behind cage doesn't mean they're not lethal. So I'm going to assume, because Michigan plays that way, a very aggressive D, according to the statistics, they are number one, so they're producing a lot of caused turnovers. But I will stand by my gamble pick. Florida ranked as number 2 in the defensive unit. Usually have good goalkeepers in there. Really fast transitions and ground balls, getting the ball going for their offensive possession. Their journey's been up and down. Again, I think they're more, for me personally, I get a really good time watching their offensive unit, but their defensive unit is pretty lethal. Like I said, they've always had stacked goalies kind of year after year. So we are with that. Navy in the midfield unit is ranked number 5. Navy's always had a good product. Again, Cindy coming from Maryland. We like Maryland. Maryland's in my top 4. Been pretty consistent. Good draw control taker. Alyssa Daly, 191 draw controls. Again, those stats are statting, so I can see why we put Navy in there. Not sure what they're ranked as a team, but again, their midfield transition draw unit is producing. But as we expected, North Carolina, Northwestern, Boston College are all in 2nd, 3rd, 4th place for their defensive unit point production. What is surprising, who is number 1, is Yale. Ivy League's making a little appearance in the rankings. Old school Lax coming back. Top midfielders in the country, Fallon, enter her new year and 2nd straight Ivy League title. And she was the midfielder of the year, having 55 points, adding 33 ground balls, 26 caused turnovers, 53 draw controls. There's a trio, Sky, Taylor, Karina. So it sounds like a pretty spread out, lethal unit. Obviously, sharing the ball, sharing the duty makes you pretty lethal. So, again, smart. The coaching tree is working. You have Cindy, she's accredited coach. Sorry, my dog's in the background barking. Bubba! What's up? All right. Oh, wait, I need to do attack. All right, attack rankings. UVA cracks the top 5 for attack. Sonia LaMonica was actually my coach back at Towson when I played, and her shift to UVA I was very happy with. I thought it was a good transition for her. I thought ACC play would be nice. I know being in the CAA when I played, it was a very competitive, it still is, it's a very competitive conference. But our goal was always chasing ACC teams and always trying to beat ACC teams. So the fact that she's now in the ACC, it's cool to see. And the transformation of that program. UVA, again, used to be in conversation in my recruiting days back in 2015. But now, it kind of fell off the bandwagon. And then Sonia shape-shifted that whole thing. She does have a young coaching staff for assistants. Again, bringing pros. I will say, all of these teams, I'm going to say all. I don't know who's at Michigan. And I don't know who's at Yale. But everybody else has a pro on their staff. They have people that are currently playing the game at the highest level. It makes sense. Every single top 10 team has a pro on their staff. And I'm looking at the attack rankings. Again, Virginia cracking the top 5. Love that. Again, seeing the ACC. But Navy's also cracking 4, which makes sense. They have a lethal midfield transition. If you have more midfield possession, you're going to have more offensive possession. So I understand that. Michigan making cool with it. So they're lethal on both sides of the field. Again, I want to ride on that bandwagon. I just have to watch them play. Northwestern and Boston College is number 1. Northwestern is number 2. Makes sense. They're the most electrifying teams to watch. They produce and generate so many shots. They make goalies look stupid. And the funny part is that they actually both have really good goalies. So it makes sense. If you have a good goalie at practice, you probably have good shooters in the game. It makes a difference for your team. And vice versa. I had Boston College versus Northwestern, even though they're both in my Final Four. I hope I see them head-to-head more in the Final Four. I probably will see them this season, but I'm excited for that. But yeah, that's what I got. For defense, I'm going to go with Sammy White in Northwestern. I think she's had a really good career chipping away. really just stacking her way to the top, and she's finally getting some notice. And I think the way she plays lockdown defense really reads the field, her IQ, transition. I think it's lethal, so I will be watching her this week, or yeah, I guess this week. And then for goal, I'm between Schweitzer and Shea. I think they're both really, really great goalies. I like to see them battle against each other, so I have those two in my top pick. And for attack, Rachel Clark. She's always been a name I've heard a lot. And now I feel like where Boston College is and people who graduated and they share the ball well, I do think she will be a vital player on their attack and will produce and play make. So those are the players I'm currently watching this week. Let me know what players you guys are watching down below in the comments. Okay, so final predictions for week 1. John Hopkins versus UF. I'm going with UF. BC versus Loyola. I'm going with BC. Northwestern versus JMU. Again, track game. I'm going to go with the underdogs, hence JMU. And then Northwestern versus Notre Dame. Obviously, Northwestern just super lethal. I got to go with them. Sorry to my ACC alliance. It's just how it be. Same thing with like North Carolina. Gotta go with JMU just because I like the underdog and that trap game mentality. They have gotten you guys before. I wonder if they will do it again. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow the podcast. It's great. Helps the channel a lot. I'll write everything in the description for gear and including this awesome artwork. Don't forget to support. You support the artwork, you support me. And I can do things like this, like do a podcast absolutely anywhere I desire. So I've been having a good time. Hopefully you guys too. Can't wait for our next guest. I'm excited for him. It's going to be an actual like interview style back in the old days type Blackster's vlog interview, let people talk style. I can't wait to have him on. Guess you guys just have to wait.